Some stories break your heart, but this one asks a question you may never forget. What happens to a man when the world moves on without him? Tonight, you will hear the story of a soldier who returned home after 20 long years, only to discover that not a single soul remembered he ever existed. He arrived at the edge of his village just before sunset, thin, dusty, and walking with the slow steps of a man who had carried too many ghosts. His uniform was torn, his boots were old, his eyes empty. But his heart was full of hope. 20 years of praying for this moment, the moment he would finally go home. He whispered to himself, "I'm finally back. They will be so happy to see me." The dusty path felt different under his feet. Smaller, quieter, almost unfamiliar. But homes change, villages grow, time does things to places and even worse things to memories. Still, he walked. He passed by houses he used to know, houses he had helped build, houses he had once protected with his life. But the people in them didn't look up, didn't wave, didn't smile. To them, he was a stranger, a tired traveler, walking by. He waved at an elderly man sitting in front of a shop, a man who had once called him son, a man who had held him as a child. But the old man looked at him with blank eyes. No recognition, not even a hint of memory. The soldier paused. His voice shook. "Sir, it's me." The old man frowned, then looked away, and the soldier kept walking. He reached the house he had built with his bare hands, the house where his wife had kissed him goodbye the morning he left for war, the house where his two little children had waved at him from the window, too young to understand what war really meant. He stood there for a long time, his hands trembling, his eyes wet. He whispered, "Home," and stepped inside the compound. The yard was different. The flowers he planted were gone. The chair where he used to sit every evening, broken. The walls had been repainted. And then, he saw her, his wife, older now, beautiful still. But beside her stood a man, holding her hand, a stranger. The soldier froze. His heart began to pound so loudly, he could hear it echoing in his ears. His wife looked at him, confused, uncertain, as if trying to remember something buried deep in a forgotten dream. "Madame," he whispered, "it's me. I'm home." The man beside her stepped forward. His voice was firm. "Who are you looking for?" The soldier swallowed hard. He said, "My family, my wife, my children. This is my home." The man shook his head slowly. "Your home? Sir, this house belonged to a soldier who died 20 years ago. His wife remarried. The children grew up. They barely even remember his face." The soldier's knees weakened. His breath vanished. "Died?" he whispered. "I died?" His wife spoke softly now, almost afraid of her own voice. What is your name?" He said it. Her eyes widened for a moment, not in recognition, but in shock, because it was the same name as her late husband, the same name she had whispered into the wind each night before she gave up hoping, the same name engraved on a memorial stone in the village square. She stepped closer, searching his face, but time had carved new lines into him. War had stolen the softness from his eyes. Pain had shaped him into someone unrecognizable. He looked like a husband, and yet nothing like him at all. And then came the moment that shattered him completely. A young man walked out of the house, tall, confident, carrying the same facial structure he remembered from his own childhood photos.
his son, fully grown. The soldier reached out a shaking hand. "My boy." But the young man stepped back nervously. Do I know you?" The soldier felt something break inside him. Deep, silent, final. He whispered, "I changed your diapers. I carried you on my shoulders. I promised to come back for you." The young man stared blankly. "I'm sorry, sir. My father died before I could even speak." The soldier lowered his hand, and for the first time in 20 years, he realized he was truly alone. He left the house quietly, slowly, without anger, without blame, only grief. He walked back to the village square, where he had once been celebrated as a hero. There, beneath a mango tree, stood a stone statue. A statue of a soldier holding a rifle. A plaque at the bottom read, "To the brave young man who never came home." He bent down and touched the stone. Cold, unfeeling, permanent. They had buried his memory before he returned. He whispered to the statue, "You lived in their hearts for 20 years, and I lived in the forest for 20. He looked up at the sky, the same sky he had prayed under while bullets flew around him. And he finally understood something painful. Time doesn't wait. Families rebuild, memories fade, and sometimes the world forgets those who sacrificed everything for it. But that night, as he walked away from the village, he didn't blame them. He didn't curse them. He didn't hate them. He simply whispered, "I came home, and that is enough." Then he disappeared into the darkness, a forgotten hero, a living ghost. A man whose only mistake was believing that home would remain the same. Some stories end with joy. Some end with closure. But this one ends with a question. If you left today, would anyone remember the person you used to be 20 years from now?